All right, everybody get that message, I guess, that we are often recording. I've got on my notes here in large bold letters record because I've started meetings before. Not done so, especially with that didn't. I was well into the introductions before I hit record, so kind of learned my lesson there. But welcome, thank you, everybody, for tuning in with us today. Hope everyone is well out there. Hope everyone is staying dry. It just pours during July, doesn't it? I drove through a pretty heavy rainstorm on the way up here today, but here I'm Ray Baudry. I'm an extension director. I think everybody probably knows me by now. Julie McMillan is our 4-H youth development and family and consumer science agent. And we're also here with Anitra Mahan, who's our administrative assistant for extension. So great to have everybody on today. This again is recorded, so if we do have some sort of power glitch or some sort of technical issue, we'll have it recorded for everybody to take a listen to our overall advisory committee meeting today. SEC Media Days is going on this week. Big football fans out there probably. Always brings a smile to my face. That means it's fall's right around the corner. College football is right around the corner. And also means that maybe cooler temperatures are on the way at some point, not soon, but eventually. So that's got to make you feel good. But so anyway, we'll get started here. So again, I just want to thank everyone for being here today. Citizen input and involvement is essential to the effectiveness of UF IFAS extension here in Gulf County and in any county in the state. Actually, the advisory committees play a huge role. Determining the accuracy and identification of our needs is probably the #1 priority. Program priorities too, and the methodologies that we are using to reach clients. Of course, it's been virtual since the COVID pandemic started. But things have changed recently. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as the slideshow goes on. Communication and advocacy, and of course, increased local support here in the county. So it's great to have feedback and really discuss things with the advisory committee on what we should be doing, what we should be doing in the county. Thanks for being with us virtually again. I think we're all beyond that zoomed out, right? Phase. However, maybe we can do a mixed mode meeting going forward. I kind of like that idea. Maybe the first meeting of the year we'll hold something virtual, or maybe do a hybrid situation where we have an office luncheon. And however, if people are not able to log in, I mean, for people to be able to log in, if they're physically not able to be here at the meeting, and it can be also recorded. Again, some sort of mixed mode. That way, at least if there's an issue with people physically being at our meetings, they would have that opportunity. I'd always like to have that last meeting of the year in November as a luncheon, as an in-person luncheon. But anyway, that's just kind of my thoughts. I certainly welcome any feedback on that going forward. A little bit about the meeting structure. I always have a slide about this just to remind folks how things are kind of laid out throughout the year. We traditionally do a summer meeting, discuss programming to dates and our fall plans. And we also have an admin fiscal report at this point. The fall meeting will be statewide extension updates. Will be really front and center for that. That's at a time when I've been to a county extension director retreat, which is our end of year retreat. And I get a lot of updates at that point. It's usually like the second week of November. So somewhere between, first week really. So the second week or third week of November is when we try to hold the next advisory committee meeting. So I can give you guys some updates on that. Julie and I will talk about next year's proposed programming. By then we've been through all of our planning, just about probably all of our planning meetings with our fellow extension agents in the district. We have a good idea about what we're going to be offering in spring and summer of the following year. And of course, another admin report to wind down the year. Some of the latest news, we have to talk about COVID-19. So that'll be the first thing we talk about here. It actually reopened June 28th to our pre-COVID protocols. So we're back to doing business as normal since that date. Of course, we're all a little worried about the Delta variant. I'm sure everyone has been hearing things about that in the news. No words yet on a university mask mandate again. Can't help but think that there's some thoughts about that going forward. I can tell you that I went to Panama yesterday and there were a lot of people wearing masks again. And I went to the Pig last night for a little grocery shopping and there were a number of people in there wearing masks again. So anyway, just FYI, looks like there may be, who knows, maybe mask mandate again coming through UF IFAS as far as our programming events goes. I wouldn't say that wouldn't be out of the realm. But upcoming office changes, just something to be aware of. This won't hit for a while, I imagine, but it's in the process. So we'll be using some PACE software. This is a contract between a company called PACE and the university. And basically what they're doing is they're putting together a digital sign-in sheet for us. And the way this will work is it will be loaded onto an iPad that will serve as the kind of check-in kiosk to enter our building. Once you've completed that first registration, it's really easy to use the software after that. The software recognizes you when you start to type in your name, and it's really easy to be able to enter your information and be able to go forward into the office. We will be using this for all extension programs as well as the office visits. This is something really that's come down from USDA, the National Institute of Food and Agriculture. They monitor our parity, they monitor our events, demographics of the clientele that we have. And there's been a lot of issue with physical sign-in sheets and the fact that they're not very private because people can see information from other people that have previously signed into that, say, workshop that they're attending. So they're trying to get away from that. At the same time, they want to have demographic information for people that have come to the office. And all this will be sent to a secure server in the cloud for UF and USDA reporting, for their statistical analysis of that, I guess you'd say. It's something that's going to be going on in every county in Florida, so it's just not us. It's something new, and but I think it will be painless, especially once the client has registered for the first time. It shouldn't be much of an issue going forward. I have a bullet there about the telehealth program for WEWA and Port St. Joe, and that's kind of a segue about what I'm going to talk about next. Don't know if many people really know about this initiative. I don't know how much really press has gotten at this point, but so let me tell you a little bit about the Rural Health Telehealth Initiative. So this is a USDA grant-funded pilot project. So it's a pilot project. And we're sort of that's one of the test counties for that. The goal is to increase rural residents' access to healthcare by establishing telehealth kiosks there's that word again, kiosk, at UF IFAS extension offices in the 13 high need rural counties in the state. And you can see by the map here, the figure here to the right shows in orange those counties that are participating. The partners, collaborators include UF Health, UF IFAS Extension, of course, UF Diabetes Institute, the Cardiology Unit, the Cancer Center. Basically, it's UF IFAS, UF IFAS Extension collaborating with UF Shands in this endeavor. So what does really all of this mean, right? So the program will link patients that are suffering from cancer and diabetes and actually other illnesses that actually live here in Gulf County with doctors at Shands. So they won't have to travel all the way to Gainesville. They can do this through basically an online portal. Essentially, the patient will book an appointment with a doctor at Shands around the dates that we have set aside. When I say we here at Gulf County Extension have set aside, we will have a telehealth device in a private, secure room in both the WeWa and the Fort St. Joe office locations. This device has a video screen, has a blood pressure monitor, stethoscope, otoscope, the ear scope, is what I call it, and some other instruments. We've had a demonstration on the device. They're simple to use. This is going to kick off next month, as you can see by the timeline. We go live in August, so August/September. Probably the big question that's going to come from the advisory committee is, okay, how will we set aside time to assist patients in these appointments? Well, it's probably going to be something where we have afternoons, maybe one afternoon a week in each location to assist clientele. Like I said, the devices are really easy to use. We'll be there really to clean the devices and just kind of help a little bit usher this kind of program in place. The main thing is we need to be there to clean the units after each use. We can utilize volunteers for this. Julie and I both are working to get AmeriCorps volunteers for each of our locations, both to assist with this program and other programmatic areas too. So that's always something, but it's a good chance that we may have UF paid support personnel come in as well. Depends on really probably the burden of the number of patients that are going to use this initiative. So again, this is a pilot program and we're just going to kind of see how it goes in each county and make adjustments. This is like a $3 million grant, so we do have some funding there to help support with support staff. One more thing to note, really cool. We had the vice president of IFAS visit. So something that doesn't happen every day or maybe ever. I spoke to Roy about this and he said he couldn't remember a time that the vice president of IFAS came to visit Gulf County. We've had, a dean here over the years, maybe for a couple of visits, but never the VP, to our knowledge. But Dr. Angle is the vice president of IFAS, dropped by earlier this month. He's the gentleman with the white shirt there. He used to be head of USDA, actually. Dr. Gutter was also here. He's the gentleman wearing the vest. He's our dean over 4-H and Family and Consumer Sciences. And our district director, Dr. Vergat, was here as well. The reason why he's not in the pictures is because he was taking them. But we also had our legislative liaison from Tallahassee here and some other people. There was just a caravan of people that came down. This was a scheduled visit really for Panhandle counties that are embarking on the telehealth program. And like I mentioned in the slide previously, Dr. Gutter was here, did a telehealth grant demonstration for us regarding the equipment. And we got to really see how easy it is to use. It was a great visit. I can tell you we won, by far we won the treat display. We saw pictures from the other county extension offices and believe me, they didn't come close to being comparable. Big thank you to Anitra and Julie. They had a great idea of giving the group some local honeydew, and thank you, Sammy, for getting us the honey so quick. They thoroughly enjoyed it. I got an email later on Friday. This was on a Thursday we met. I got an email from Dr. Engel thanking us for the visit, and he really enjoyed the honey. So that was awesome. Okay, so kind of getting back in the swing of things, talking about some of our program efforts going forward. And Julie has been really busy this summer. She'll talk more about that. Really proud of Julie. We had another year where residential camp week at Camp Tempucci was canceled again, and that didn't stop her from putting together some day camps throughout the summer. And I know she's really tired. She's been really busy the last few weeks with these day camps, animal science day camps, and she'll tell you more about those. Just some of maybe the larger kind of district-wide events and some of our events that you'll see around the county coming up. We did have the Northwest Florida Beef Cattle Conference and Trade Show back in February. It was a webinar. Obviously, it wasn't as many people online as it normally is in person for that event, but we did have a nice program that morning. At St. Joseph Bay, the Buffer Preserve will host their Bay Day in October. It'll be October 16th on a Saturday. I'll be there along with our Master Gardeners. We traditionally go to that event and promote Sea Grant programming as well as our horticulture programs that are so popular there in St. Joe. Library talks will start back up again. I think Julie's going to talk more about that. She's got a 4-H volunteer talk, I think, scheduled in September. And we're looking to do something kind of to promote the telehealth and maybe the FNP program in August. And we'll reach out to Mimi about that and see if there's a spot in the schedule next month for that. If not, maybe September. On the books, we have, I'll be giving a fall lawn and landscape care talk in September in Wewa and in St. Joe. I believe the St. Joe is the 7th and Wewa is the 23rd, but I'm not sure. There'll be a flyer that'll come. Another district event that we do here at IFAS is our Beef and Forage Field Day. It's sometimes in the spring. This year it's going to be in the fall, so it'll be September 30th at our Mariana Research Unit. It's always a great event to go to. Another one that's great to go to is our Sunbelt Ag Expo up in Moultrie. UF IFAS has a building there. That's me and Evan there to the right in our building, giving a little horticulture talk to some folks. But Evan's a horticulture agent over in Walton County. But we have a really nice setup. If you've never been to the expo, please go sometime. It's really neat. Julie and I will be heavily involved in the expo this year. We'll be there for probably a couple of days. Also, we'll have the North Florida Fair coming up in November 4th through the 15th. We'll have a 4-H plant competition for that and plant show kind of competition for that. So looking forward to working with area schools here for that. Just a few agricultural updates from my programming side of things. I've been working on my promotion and permanent status packet this spring, and that's really consumed a lot of time. But and doing some of these things virtually are very difficult to do. So we're glad that I know Julie's glad as well that things have kind of opened back up and we can do things in person more. Those aren't Christmas trees there to your right. So some of our industrial hemp research that's being done at Quincy. Actually, that picture is about a year old, but I found that and I thought that would be neat just to kind of show some of the alternative research that we're doing. That would make really good Christmas trees, I think. Anyway, so let's talk about cool season forage demo plots. I have seed, and I had the seed from last year. I decided not to plant because we get the seed so late in the year. So decided that to hold the seed for this coming year. It's been in a climate controlled situation. So we're going to plant hopefully with a landowner early, maybe do a staggered planting so you can see the difference in the photo period over the cooler season months, and how that works with planting cool season forage demo plots. We would like to plant as early, or I would like to plant as early as late September, and then maybe another planting in November. So anyway, that is definitely on the docket for fall. Beef quality assurance is a program that we're going to be working on in 2022. This is going to be a district-wide effort. There's a beef quality assurance program, a national program. We're going to try to take that. We're working with Dr. Thrift at UF. He's an animal science professor, to kind of customize the national program. So we've had something that we can offer area producers, those areas of BQA that we'll be teaching, or like chute side techniques. We're talking about sanitation, dehorning, castration, injection management, those kind of things. Proper record keeping, even biosecurity on a ranch, animal health, parasite management, things like that. So we'll be working with, I'll be working with a team of agents on that. So looking forward to how that's going to work. We did have virtual bee college this past spring. I taught a class on honey plants of Northwest Florida. We had a good turnout too. We had probably 250, 260 people online for that event. That was really good. Looking to implement or re-implement the beekeeping conference that we have here in the Panhandle in the spring. Something that's on our list of things to do. Industrial hemp trials, just something quick about that. We have 2 trials here in the county. There's been a lot of permitted acreage through FDACs for hemp trials here, over almost probably by now 600 acres. That doesn't mean there's 600 acres of hemp, but it's been permitted for it. So we're definitely one of the larger acreage permitted counties in the Panhandle. So, and I'm getting calls from people out of state who are wanting to come in state and out of state, I should say, but that are interested in the industrial hemp business. So I think that's something that's just a hot topic right now. And just a couple of bullet points on statewide teams. We've got a new ag and natural resource, was technically not new, but taking on some different roles. A dean that's looking at different statewide teams. And so I'm on the honeybee extension team and the artificial intelligence extension team for the state. So we'll probably start hopefully seeing more of that integrated in our programming, and having more beekeeping programming. It's going to be more statewide that I'll be involved with. And Julie can probably talk to you a little bit more about AI. I know she's wanting to implement that into her 4-H program. So we're trying to get some technology sort of going there in our extension programming. Just some natural resource updates. So we did reboot the Scallop Sitter volunteer program this year, and Franklin joined the fray. So it's Gulf Bay and Franklin. And that's a picture of me there, and Andrea, our water resource RSA, and Rick, our Sea Grant agent in Scambia there. I went through my pictures last night and I found that one. And that's when we had a master naturalist trip. But I wanted to share that picture and just say, I look happy there, but it's not fun being in a 3-person canoe. So that's a fake smile. But anyway, back to our Scallop Sitter volunteer program. In 2008 is when we really kicked this off and had a lot of volunteer effort too, but Hurricane Michael created a wash for us. So it just kind of failed miserably. Campaign had a really good participation, had a good reboot in 2019. And then of course in 2020, it was postponed. So we're off and running this year. And for those out there that are not familiar with the program, this is where us Sea Grant agents in Gulf and Bay, Franklin counties partner with FWC, really train, manage volunteers. These volunteers manage predator exclusion cages that are supplied with scallops. So the cages provide really a safe environment in the bay for the scallops to live and reproduce. And then of course, in turn, They repopulate the bays. Essentially, the volunteers make these monthly visits and to their assigned cages. They clean the scallops, make sure they're healthy, because sometimes algal growth is an issue, barnacles can attach. But they check the mortality rate and collect salinity data that really helps us with analyzing site suitability in areas. So we had 91 volunteers this year to start the program. So that is awesome. FWC is very happy about that as well. The major difference this year with COVID is that the training was done online. So we had to shoot video of training, which took a while to kind of put together. The only contact that we had with the volunteers was with the pickup and drop off of their supplies back in June. So it was before all the COVID restrictions were lifted for us. But we were supposed to have a support person and staff from Bay County that helped us with this project, but that fell through. And I can't thank Anitra enough for her hard work in organizing and coordinating the volunteer efforts. It's a lot to take on, and this program would have gone south really fast if it weren't for her quick thinking and multitasking skills. So she really bailed us out big time. So thank you again. But we're off and running, and the project will conclude in December or January, actually 1st of January, and we'll start all over again. So we have this project for probably the next 5 or 6 years at least. So looking forward to continuing those efforts. Master Naturalist Program, the Florida Master Naturalist Program. I have promised the coastal system module to people for a long time, and now it's time. Now it's time to teach this. So I have it on my schedule to teach this in the spring. I have an announcement later in the year for that. It'll be taught at the Buffer Preserve. This is the Florida Master Naturalist Program is, say this coastal systems module is about 40 contact hours, not counting the field trips. So it is a pretty big time commitment for that are interested in environmental stewardship. So it's typically taught 1 day a week for 6 weeks or so. And I'll have help with that. I'll have area agents too that help out with teaching the class. On the flip side of that, I also want to offer a Panhandle Outdoors Live next year. These are really shorter 1 to 2 a day events. I'm going to try to keep it to 1 day. So this will help people that really want to take Master Naturalist but can't handle the time commitment. This will give them kind of a little glimpse about environmental stewardship. And that'll be taught from the Buffer Preserve as well, and will be more coastal kind of driven as well. So a couple of projects there on the horizon. Okay, so just briefly, a little bit about our horticulture programming updates. Julie and I tackled a webinar back in, I think it was April. We were going to do more, but after this webinar, I kind of think we felt like, well, it's not going to be long before we open back up to where we can do some things more in person. So we decided to just focus our efforts more on planning for that. But we did a garden to table webinar where I talked about getting your warm season vegetable garden planning together, and what you can do to make a really successful vegetable garden this year. And Julie came in and spoke more about the nutritional benefits of growing your backyard garden, as well as the wellness factor of it, how mental wellness kind of plays a role into tending to a garden. So our Master Gardener volunteers have had a busy spring. They had approval to do events at some of the nurseries in the area. So they had Ask a Master Gardener events around the area. So they did a really good job. They're off this summer. They take it easy over the summer because it's so hot, but they will be back in September to kick off some of these programs too. So thankful for all the hard work that our volunteers do. And they did a really good job of upgrading the landscaping around our St. Joe office. And we'll be working to do so in Wewa as well. The library also here in Wewa has had an upgrade with the native plant butterfly garden too. It looks really great. And so we're really proud of that as well. Just a few bullet points on community events. I was one of the horticulture agents in the state that was asked if, hey, if we would like to, from the horticulture department at UF, hey, would you be interested in placing a citrus grove in your county of experimental citrus trees that can combat diseases, specifically citrus greening and citrus canker that have been developed by the horticulture department. And of course I said yes. And good news, the other day I found out we are getting a shipment of trees. And the plan is, if the school system is okay with this, would be to have small grove here, Wewa, and a small grove in St. Joe at the school gardens. I think that'd be a great place for it. I'm not sure exactly how many trees that we're going to get. It may be one place or the other, but hopefully we can split those up. So looking forward to that. Should hear really any day now what the number of trees that we're going to have and when they're going to be delivered. And I'll definitely work with Roy on implementing that. Community garden efforts at the Washington Center ramping up again. Some raised beds have been built. I know some mulch has been, some compost has been brought in. I'm working with FMP program, Julie and I are, to look for additional funding to help get that community garden back up and running. And we will, with the FMP assistant too, can also lend some educational outreach to that garden there. So we're looking forward to a partnership there as well. And last bullet here about programming updates is I have pesticide license training coming up at the end of August. This will be a core and natural areas training. That'll be on a Monday and a Tuesday afternoon. The flyer will be released by Monday, this coming Monday, for that training. Usually this is set aside for a group that we already have together. They are looking for trainings every year in this particular area, but that didn't work this year. So we are going to advertise it to the public. So if anybody's looking for their pesticide license, this would be a good one to have in this area for sure. And now I will turn it over to Julie. I know I've already sort of touched on the telehealth program, but if she had any more, anything she wanted to say about it, I'll let her kind of take it over now.
Thanks, Ray. I was just going to elaborate a little bit on the telehealth here in our county, and this is more on the family and consumer sciences side of my job, but I'm really excited, and I just wanted to mention that this program is kind of for those that have limits with transportation and kind of resources to be able to get access to these doctors down at Gainesville. So I really think it's going to be a great thing for our community. And we, from what I understand, and Ray can correct me if I'm wrong, but we will get initially our patients are existing patients at these hospitals or that are seeing these doctors. And so we will actually start, and we can see, how much there is there and how that goes when that starts. But like you said, we are going to try to do, I think, just a couple of afternoons, one in Port St. Joe and one in Wewa. And as it gets busier, we may have to increase that, but they're aiming to make it easier for residents in our rural counties to see healthcare professionals that specialize in diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer. And there were, I believe it was 13 counties in Florida, and we are the first that will get to 13 rural counties. So we're the first that are getting to try this out in our offices. But to elaborate on my side of it, I also am going to hope to give them resources when they come in. So not only will they get to see the specialists here from our office, but we really want to give them, if they need help in another way. I mean, I know it may be a little farther out, but what if we could give them fresh food, or if we could give them a list of if they need help paying a power bill? So we're going to be working together to get a good resource list together for people, so that not only do we help them um, with, connecting with people in Gainesville that they need for their health, but also maybe get some other resources to them. And I put a picture up there. That's the device, or similar to, from what we understand, it's called Tyto Pro, and that's the devices that they'll use. And so I wanted to tell you guys. So we got to look at those when they visited with us a couple weeks ago, and it has the equipment is an otoscope, stethoscope, basal thermometer, tongue depressor, pulse oximeter, blood pressure cuff, and an iPad. And so they can, come, and the doctors can see them as they would in their office for many, many things. And I'm sure there would be things they would still need to see them, but that would, and also we'll have a reliable internet connection for them, to be able to connect down there, and just a close place to come. But I can think of many people, even if they can't afford one of these devices in their home, that would like to just come and see these specialists from here versus driving all the way to Gainesville for these things. And I listed, so it's diabetes, including childhood diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer will be the main. I guess it's going to be the three main areas that they look at first, and then we may get to expand there. So very excited, and hopefully we'll get see where that goes this fall. So that will lead us into the next slide, Ray, please. Which Ray also touched on this, but it's our AmeriCorps volunteer. And so AmeriCorps approached our Northwest Extension district with wanting to maybe partner with us for their program. And so we are hoping that, since they reached out to us, that we are applying for this grant. And with that, it is these volunteers can get a stipend, and they also get educational credits. They can get childcare, and I think there was one other thing, some support for housing maybe, but they get a stipend. So it's a paid volunteer, I guess you could say. And Ray and I have both submitted for our county. We have both submitted for an AmeriCorps volunteer to help with programming. And they really wanted to focus on environmental education and stewardship. So we both have put in, and for me, it would be, I would be utilizing this person as a program assistant for the telehealth implementation in our county. So that may open up more time for people to come in and have someone there to assist them and sanitize things and help them get to meet with the specialist, but also to have them for school enrichment programming with 4-H. So we are looking to, that's how I would like to utilize mine. I think Ray is going to do the same with his AmeriCorps volunteer, but also assist with some master gardener type things with his side of everything, horticulture type programming. And so that's what we're hoping for, and it's looking good. And I'm sure we will have updates for you in the fall, but we are excited, and they're basically going to help us financially, we would be getting this through the grant, but also to support with our programming needs. So we're excited to have help, and we'll have more news to come on that. And if we'll go to the next slide, Ray. So now I will move on to some of the youth things we've been doing in 4-H. I do not think I even have everything in here because boy, when it opened up, we've been going. So as Ray said, I am tired, but a good tired. I'm so happy with the way things have been going and just so proud of the kids and our volunteers. But we started back in, I guess March was maybe our first event. And we went to the West Florida Livestock Show as we did last year. And we had 5 kids to compete there, and they all did well. We didn't have the judging and everything this year due to COVID. They kind of knocked out the show being a 2-day show, but the 5 kids did successfully go in with their cattle and sell them, and they all got to compete in showmanship. There was, I think, one of the cattle that didn't make weight, but that one could still do showmanship with one of the other kids' cows, and it was just a great show. And we were limited. We couldn't invite, a lot of people this year, but we are looking forward to a little bit more of a normal year next year, and hopefully these kids, they all, like I said, did great. We had 5 that entered and 4 that actually sold their steers that day. So. And then this is the the recent undertaking here. It was our Camp WIG. It was last week. And as you all know, it takes a village to pull something off with a camp. And so when we didn't have Camp Tempucci, I was kind of thinking, well, what can we do? What can we do? We really didn't have any funding because we weren't sure we were going to get to do any day camps this year. So I really just kind of reached out and seen Leanna over at Career Source called and said, hey, we're doing 8 weeks of summer camp. Would you come in and do something over Wild West Week? So it kind of led into, I said, sure. So that kind of led into, it ended up being more of an animal science week. But it was such a great experience for all of us. And I hope that we brought some things to these kids that normally would not have any kind of experience with the animals. But anyway, we partnered with Career Source for a week of programming. And so you'll see to the right is some of the junior service leagues. So they agreed, this was a free camp for the kids, and they agreed to pay their 4-H membership so that they could come in and do 4-H and be, a participant, a 4-H member. So they agreed to pay their membership for a year. And we had about 60 kids, close to 60 kids registered last week down in Port St. Joe. And then the picture of the 3 of us, as you can see down there and to the right corner, that is the agents. So that's me in the middle with my little silky chick there. And then to the right is Evie Blunt from Gadsden County. And to the left is Claire Reach over from Calhoun. And so we have been helping each other. So they helped me with certain things last week, and I've been going to their camps and assisting them. So first part of the week I've been with Gadsden, and we've got one more camp to do next week with Claire over in Calhoun. But they have brought their resources to our county, and we're taking some of ours to theirs. And so it's been a great partnership. In the bottom left, you'll see the Garden Club. They came in and did an activity with cactus and succulents. And not only did we have them as volunteers, but we had here our 4-H volunteers. I believe we had 6 to 10 each day that committed to the whole week, 5 days of camp last week, 8 to 4. And so I could not have been happier. And we have a great community here they came in, they taught, And I could not have asked for a better turnout when it comes to teachers at camp last week, because we would run workshops. So we would have 2 or 3 things going at once, and they gave their time. And some even took off just to come and volunteer for camp last week. But it was a great week and so glad we did it. And we're all tired, I'm sure, still from it, but it was a fantastic, I think it was a fantastic event for our county. And I have so many pictures I could not pick. And I couldn't even include all the things that we tried to do last week. So I just put a few on there to show you a little bit of what we did at camp. So we did embryology, which was one of the favorites. And I had gotten an incubator probably, let's see, I think last week, whenever we were looking at the eggs, we were on day 14. So it takes 21 days to hatch a chicken. And so in the incubator, we had eggs that were at day 14 and they could see the development in there. But we also looked at all of the, so we labeled the parts of an egg and talked about how there's no waste. You know, everything has a purpose. We also went into a little bit of an intro to 4-H because most of the kids have never even heard of 4-H that were there. And then we went into what is agriculture, and we had live animals, anatomy of so the main things were horses, chickens, rabbits, and we did a little bit with cows, but not so much. They went on a field trip to the creamery. A lot of the kids did, but the ones that didn't, there was 2 age groups that were younger. So we tried to bring them a little bit of a dairy experience with ice cream in a bag and butter in a cup. So they made it with their hands, and they really liked that. And also we had a roping demonstration, and grains and haze quality. One of the really neat things to me that was very interesting was Claire did a presentation on where does the animal, we called it Where Does It Go, but it talked about cuts of meat and also where does the rest of the animal go. So you've got the kids, learned about where does that go. It goes to dog treats, it goes to glue, shoes. It was a very interesting presentation, and I don't think that they probably would have heard something like that before. So we just talked about the purpose of everything has a purpose and nothing is wasted. And then, like I said, the garden club came in and they did cactus and succulents with the kids. And we even had from Gadsden County some of the ones that some of the kids came that show their poultry, and they brought a special breed in, and they came in and kind of demonstrated parts of the chicken, and there's a correct way to take them in and out of the cage. And so they wanted to do that a little bit, but the kids were just so excited to see the animals that I don't know that they made it to so much of that, but the boys even demonstrated a little bit of that. And we had chicks, we had bunnies, and we had horses come out, pony. We had a horse and a pony, and then, like I said, they got a little bit of a dairy experience as well. So it was a great week, and I think overall it was a huge success for our county. So next week, we are going to 4-H University, and that is down at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And we have a representative coming from Gulf County, Miss Savannah Mahan. And she is actually not only representing our county, but she's representing our district. And District 3 is, I got it wrote down, it's 7 counties. And so it's Gulf, Liberty, Franklin, Gadsden, Leon, Jefferson, and Wakulla counties. And Savannah, we had to submit, normally she would have gone and competed in person at District Showcase in the spring, and the winner of each division is picked to go to the state competition, which is at 4-H University Week. And so we didn't get to have that this year, but she was able to submit a video, and it was judged just as a judge would, it was judged within the state against the others in our district, just as a judge would have done that in person. And it was between her and another girl from Jefferson County. and she ended up winning and got selected to represent us at the state level. So we're very excited about that. She is going to be playing the piano and singing, and we will, if I can figure out how to do it, hopefully Anitra can help me, but we're planning to do a live stream from down there next week and be able to share that with everyone. But Savannah, we're very excited about that. And I hope, normally 4-H University is a whole week event where they will get to come and do basically the kids stay on campus and they go through leadership workshops, but it's also a time where our state 4-H council will lead the event. So the whole thing is ran by the kids, and it's really amazing to see, because these kids, they conduct it better than most adults, but they use the legislative process. So we have a president and a vice president, and they make motions during the meetings. So we have a state council. So they also get their awards down there, and it's speech demonstration, competitions, gosh, we had the share the fun is what the part that Savannah's in, and it's almost like a talent portion, so they can enter as a team or as an individual. But like I said, we are super happy about that, and we'll have a new update for you next time. And I'm sure we'll put something in the paper and all that about Miss Savannah next week, and we'll be staying for the awards, and she'll be competing. I think there's 11 total. I think there's 11 total entries, so she'll be competing against them for to see at the state level. Back in, let's see, it's all running together now. I think it was April. We went to the May, sorry, the Area North Horse Show, and we had 4 kids from our county, and they did well. This is our horse club. They all rode in several disciplines, but they mostly ground handling, Western pleasure, trail speed, and cattle classes. So each of our youth placed in one of their classes, and they were critiqued by a judge. And there were 55 total competitors at the Area North. It was over in Green Cove Springs, and so close to Jacksonville over there. And there were 55 counties total. 55 competitors from the surrounding counties there, and that was kind of their chance to qualify for state. They all did qualify for state. One family was out of town, and the others just decided they had too much going on this summer, so they chose not to go down to the state competition this year, but they did qualify, and we were proud to have them representing us at that horse show. And then the next slide goes into Miss Jean McMillan was our volunteer of the year from the 35 counties that were represented at the Area North Horse Show. She was voted by the committee of its extension agents and other volunteers, and she was voted to be volunteer of the year. So she got a little special presentation down there. And if any of you know her, you know it was well deserved, and she has been volunteering for 30 plus years. I always get the number wrong. She knows exactly, but I'll just say 30 plus. And she was my 4-H leader when I was in 4-H. So I'm not going to say how many years that was, but I'll just say that she's been there a long time. And she's still, this is the picture at the top right, is her at camp last week. So she is very much well deserved for her to have that. And we were proud to have her from Gulf County. So that, like I said, the volunteers, I just cannot say enough good things about our volunteers. Currently in 4-H, we have, I believe, 14 that have been through the registration process this year, which involves a youth protection training, and also I think 12 of those have been through a level 2 fingerprinting screening so happy to have them, and a couple more have shown interest, but we are always looking for volunteers. everybody says, well, we want to do this club and we want to do this and we want to do this. And of course, I want to do it all too. But, of course, without our volunteers and our leaders, it's not possible. There's only one of me, and they're really the extension in the heart of 4-H. So I'm hoping to have a library talk. I think I got those dates right, Ray, and Mimi might have to correct me, but I think I got the dates right, and it's going to be hopefully for anyone interested in volunteering or just wants information, but also our volunteers now. And Heather, our regional 4-H specialist, is working on a social media enrollment campaign that will highlight real people sharing about what they love about being in 4-H, real volunteers. And she is going to be getting us that material to distribute here in our county. So that is hopefully going to go out in August and September. We're currently working on that. And I think that'll be a good thing to get the word out. But we always need volunteers to expand and grow our programs here in clubs. And I know we have a great group, but like I said, we're always looking for more because kids have so many interests. And the main goal is to promote life skills. And so there's so many areas that we could start clubs in, or educational processes that these kids need. And so if you know anyone that would like to volunteer, tell them to call me. And this is a future development, but I just wanted everyone to be aware. We have mostly, most of our programs are based around animals right now, which is fantastic. Of course, if the ones of you that do know me know that that is not a problem for me. I love animals, and that's really what I would love to talk about all the time and be involved with. But I know that there is a need here, or there's a lot of kids that can't have animals. So, I really wanted to kind of do some things that kids that were not able to have animals or do projects with animals could be involved with. And so our high school here already has a drone program, basically, where they go in and they get certified through the Unmanned Safety Institute and Gulf Coast State College, and they can go take these courses and learn about different ways to use drones and also career fields that you might be able to use them. And so I have decided to, I've heard a lot of negative feedback when people mention the word artificial intelligence, and a lot of it is just because the change, I guess the thought of change is scary, and but it's going to happen whether we like it or not, is the way I see it. So we might as well teach kids the life skills they need to get jobs in that area. So we have a great grant here in Gulf County that is through Triumph, and they pay basically for you to learn about these things and get certified. So I took the first part of the course. It started in the end of May and went through June. And it was not in my wheelhouse. I will not lie. It was hard for me. It's aviation basically, but it was on drones. And I want to really build on the existing program that we have in the high schools as a part of school enrichment, and see how we can help these kids know how to get a job with Amazon to deliver things with drones, or know how to get a job in agriculture with mapping, things like that. Just know what's out there and how to, instead of like I said, it's going to happen whether we like it or not. And kind of like when email first came out, I can't imagine life without email now. But when we went from hand delivery, and I know we still have regular mail, but when we went to email, it was a big change. And that's kind of the way I think about artificial intelligence and drones and things. So a lot of people are thinking that it's going to take away jobs, but what about the ones it will create? And so if we teach kids how to utilize or how to have skills in these areas, and no matter what they're doing, then they'll be able to to succeed and thrive. And so that is kind of just my plug. It's not, like I said, I have the second part of the training through Gulf Coast State College in the fall. So hopefully next year in 2022 is what I was looking at, maybe getting something going. But I did want to mention it in case anyone knew any adults or volunteers or even youth that might be interested in this type of programming. So we currently have, right now we have the Big River Riders Horse Club. We have our livestock club here. And then now, as of a couple of weeks ago, we have a beekeeping club. So we have the leaders in place. We just created it in 4-H Online, and we'll be expanding on that. The leader for that is there though, and she is excited and she's getting some thoughts together. So if you guys have any good resources or have know anyone that would be interested in that, we do have that going. They haven't had any official meetings, but it is created in 4-H Online already. And then we are starting a poultry club September 1st, which is the new 4-H year. But we were going to start it a little earlier in the year. But when we put the feelers out there, who knew how many people liked chickens in our county? I mean, really, there were like 40 plus kids interested in joining this poultry club. And so when we realized that, the leader that we have in place, she kind of had to take a step back. Like, we may have to have more than one meeting for different ages when we realized how many kids were interested in this. So we're shooting for September 1st, but everything is looking good for that. But we are going to have a poultry club. So we'll have 2 new clubs this year. And I hope everyone will be on the lookout. We'll be sending out information about meetings and things going on with those clubs. And I just want to always include the ages for 4-H. And a lot of kids are younger. They're clover buds, so they're not allowed. They can still be in 4-H, but they're not allowed to participate in some of the contests. They're officially 4-H members once they're 8. And that's a 4-H year 8, so it's September 1st. And I have 2020 on here from an old slide, but it'll be the new year will be September 1st, 2021. This year we'll start a whole new year in 4-H. And that's how that works. So the kids that are 8 by then can officially be in there and participate in the projects and the competitions and shows, anything else that is going on with 4-H. So I think that's about all I have, Ray, for now.
Okay, thank you, Julie, and great job.
I think I might have missed a few things, but like you said, I'm tired. Maybe I can put them in on the next one.
It's a great update. Yeah, that's a lot going on. It's great to see, and I don't know what we would do without Miss Jean too. So great to have her here in 4-H. But yeah, a lot of really great stuff going on with 4-H, and yeah. So, and AI is something that's going to keep popping up in programming. It's an initiative by the university, a number of universities throughout the country, if not all the land grants. It's a little daunting to think about myself. Hard for me to keep, to wrap my head around, I guess, some of the things and how AI is applicable in our extension focus areas. But, it's the way of the future. It's the way business is going to be conducted in a lot of these areas. So yeah, it's definitely something that we'll be learning more about and transferring that knowledge to our clientele as well. So looking forward to it, but also a little scared. It'll be a lot to learn. But yeah, thank you, Julie. One more slide here. We'll talk about really more administrative issues, or well, not really issues, but just shouldn't say issues, just subject matter with administrative and fiscal means here at the office. So one of the things is a personnel update. Kay Freeman, who was our family nutrition program assistant, is no longer with our program. She's moved on, and we wish her the very best. But we have already, we posted that job about, I guess, probably a month ago now. We went through interviews yesterday, and we have a candidate, and we will be extending an offer to that candidate either today or tomorrow. I'm excited to have that position filled. I think this will be a great, if accepted, I think this will be a great candidate for the position too. And that person would start probably mid-August to late August. This position actually moved. I moved it to be based out of the St. Joe office. So we will have personnel technically full-time now at the St. Joe office. It's not to say that they won't do FNP programming here in the Wewak area, because they will. We do have a small office set aside here for them to utilize as well. But technically that program itself has been moved to be based out of St. Joe, let's just say it that way. So more on that. I always have a bullet here where, especially this time of year, we're talking about new facility grant. And that's something I know Anitra and I will be working on, kind of revising what we want to do about that going forward, looking at applicable funding sources for it. We don't qualify for the FDACS agricultural complex grant. We've tried that route. So we have to get a little resourceful too on looking for funds and to get the ball rolling on that. So it's a hot topic amongst any counties in the state about new facilities. We're fine now, but we need to grow into something larger and something a little bit newer with newer technology advantages too. So we'll be looking going forward. We'll be looking for new facility opportunities here in Gulf County. Tentative budget was released to the commission yesterday. There was a county budget meeting yesterday morning. I was in interviews, so I had to wait until the afternoon to watch the YouTube recording of it. It's changed with our budget other than, some differences in retirement calculation kind of thing, which happens basically as far as overall operating budget for the county side of things here. It should stay the same as it was last year. So, and that's fine for now. Current county budget is in check. That budget cycle will finish up in September 30th. And we're well ahead of the curve on the county budget. We're in good shape. Just a rundown of the really program funds that we have. So separate from county budget, these are kind of revenue enhancement funds that we've had over the years. We do have a local bank account. That number's dropped significantly to a little over $2,300. We're migrating some of those funds into our UF account. The only monies that are in our local bank account are 4-H monies. And that's not to say that the UF account doesn't have 4-H money too, because it does. But it's just solely that figure, $2,338.84 is 4-H funds that have been donated funds and funds through fundraising and things like that. We'll slowly migrate monies from that account into the UF account. There will be a directive from the university at some point to close the local bank accounts. That's why we're kind of doing it a little piecemeal now. But that time has not come, but it will. They've already made a directive, the university has, that everything outside of 4-H dollars has to be migrated over. So we've done that. But that's what's in the UF account there, which is a little over $4,800 in funds. There's also approximately $2,600 right now in our residential account at UF. I should say, I'm sorry, residual account. What this is when you have a grant and you finish the grant and there's still some funds left over, unless it's into the grant, whatever's left over will go back to UF and they'll take a percentage of it. You know, other departments will take a percentage of it, and then what's left over will be given back to the county extension office, was the principal investigator of the grant. So long story short, we have about $2,600 in residual monies because of that. And it's in a good place too. You may ask, well, why do you have it there? Why didn't you just transfer it over into your regular UF account? If it stays in that residual account, we don't get charged any banking fees or any kind of admin fees. We can pull from that and not have any accounting fees that are attached to it, unlike our UF account, which, I mean, it's not a lot. They'll take $1 or $2 when we make a transaction, but that doesn't happen with the residual account. And so there's no sense in moving that money. Another good thing about the residual account is it never goes away. There's no set date where we have to spend that money out. It just can stay there. So it's a nice little pocket of rainy day funds. And most of that money is scallops that are funding that was left over for us. So we'll probably have more money built up in that account as the years go by, as long as we have the Scallop Center program and other grants too. So grand total with everything with programming funds there is $9,828.60. That's a good amount, but we'll be looking for revenue enhancement going forward. And the reason why we will is there's no doubt that 4-H residential camp is going to happen next summer. And that typically costs us about $6,500 in order to participate in that and have 30 plus kids go. The good thing is Career Source and some other entities are very nice, and they help us greatly towards the funding of camp. And we hope we have their support going forward, but we'll definitely be making some relationships going forward about revenue enhancement. I say that being $6,500 a year, camp seems to go up every year. I can remember when I was back in Georgia, camp was like $50 a kid not that long ago. I think it was probably $100 here not long ago. And now it's over $300 a kid. No telling what it'll be this coming year. So we look for all the financial support possible that we can get when it comes to residential camping. So more on that later, but just a couple of things too, just to sort of wrap up here, that maybe I failed to mention too along the way, was, and this is a good place to talk about it too, because it's a fiscal administrative concern, but internet, we're talking about this telehealth grant. We have to have adequate, really strong internet in order for that device to work. In order to link a patient here with somebody at UF Shands, we've got to have some really good internet. We need really good internet, fast internet. That wouldn't happen here in Wewah with the bandwidth that we have. So, and that was one of the topics of conversation when Dr. Gutter was here. So, UF will be providing an upgrade on the internet here to some capacity that will help us with, which is something we've needed for a long time anyway. So we look forward to that happening here. It's not a problem at the St. Joe office. The Supervisor Board of Elections office has been they're very supportive of extension, and they've been very nice to say that they will gladly share their internet resources there to help us with this program and to help the overall operation of the office there by sharing internet with us. So that's really, they have the fastest bandwidth in the county. So that's really nice of them to do so. The other thing is we were talking earlier when I was going through the agricultural updates about the beef cattle assurance program. I don't know if Sammy's still on. Yeah, Sammy's on. I was going to mention too that I thought this would be probably a really good program to partner with the Cattlemen's Association to where we, maybe a handful of us agents put on these about BQA, even if it's not just for a meeting where we tackle a couple of topics, during a meeting each year, each so many months, or maybe even have days here at the office where Cattlemen Association members can come and go through that educational benefit the producers in the area. So just something I wanted to put out there, something that we're really working on. And that as soon as we started working on this, I thought about the Cattlemen's Association, how that would be a good thing to have, a good educational component for that group. But with that is really where we are with updates at this point. I really want to thank everybody for joining in today. We greatly appreciate your feedback. We'll open it up right now. You can type anything in the chat if you like. You can open up your mic in chat if you'd like to. We'll stay on for a little bit. We're always here. You can reach us through phone or, well, I can't say we're not, but you can always reach us by phone. Leave a message if we're out all together doing some programming somewhere. Please email us if you've got an idea, some way that we can help positively impact the community. That's what we're here for. So our next advisory committee meeting is going to be in November. We'll try to announce that in probably by early to mid October when the next meeting is. I'm planning that to be an in-person meeting somewhere at a restaurant and kind of have a roundtable sort of discussion about extension and going forward and what we can do here in the community. So with that, I'm going to, we'll be on for a little bit. If anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free. And maybe we can call you, we can give you a call later about some of the library talks coming up. And we need to get, I'm sure we need to get you some flyers too on some of those events. And kind of the plan is there. How this works with your schedule, but kind of what we're thinking about is for 2022, Billy and I can have a list of some library talks and we'll see where they fit into your schedule for next year. So let's see. Yeah, so I think what we'll do is we'll put a preliminary list of talks together and maybe some dates. We'll see if that works with your schedule between St. Joe and Wewa. And we'll plan to do so. It will be good for us to really start thinking about that in September or October. Again, that's when the bulk of our planning is for next year. It's when we know when our district, we know a lot of the way our district programming is going to go next year. And we also are going to know a lot about the way our in-county, programming is going to go too. And we can kind of fit our schedule a little better during that time of year. I see Jeff's on. Jeff, you got any tree giveaways coming up? I've had some questions about that lately. I think that Arbor Day website that had where you had the opportunity, you could tap into that Hurricane Michael pot of funds for trees. I think that's kind of over with by now, but I know Joe had sent me an email about there were 400 or so trees left. Jeff, maybe.
Hey, Ray.
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah, we weren't able to do tree giveaways at the beginning of the year. That tree, though, I don't know. I still don't really know where those trees came from. They were just available that were given out a few months ago. There is still funding in that Hurricane Michael fund.
Okay.
I think on an unrelated issue, Will told me just the other day, the end for that, the deadline to get things through to use that money is in September. I'm still not sure if we're able to do tree giveaways as an agency, but there might be funding if we can, or if we can plan something else, just to plan something. I know I didn't get to plan anything for Arbor Day this year in Gulf County.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I know. I had a master gardener, and Grace, who reached out to me about looking for trees. And now that I think about it, I think she may have been working with Mimi on getting trees for the library area. We'll Mimi, we'll work with you on that. And yeah, I see Mimi's put her email address in the talk, Jeff. So if you want to reach out to her.
Okay, I see it.
Okay. All right, guys. If you guys don't have any further questions or any comments at this point, again, we're here. If you can reach us, if you got an idea about 4-H program or 4-H club or anything we can do as far as workshops for the community, for the producers in the area, we're all ears. So, and look forward to meeting with everybody, or as many people that can show up for our in-person meeting in November, for some more statewide updates and planning for next year. So anyway, thank you all again for being with us today. Y'all have a great rest of your week and weekend.